keep up my praises. The only thing within my mind in the money. This is the only way. I woke up like this. Now I'm getting checks now. The only thing where I see.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Parkway Dev channel. I'm Henry Okafor, product designer here in Parkway, and I'm going to be taking you guys on a very interesting topic, design thinking. But before that, smash the subscribe button, turn on your notification button for more of our videos. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So the big question and the obvious one is, what is design thinking? Design thinking is a human-centered approach to problem solving that helps people and organizations become innovative and creative. Now, this is according to Tim Brown, Executive Chair of IDEO. Design thinking is a problem-solving approach targeted towards humans. Now, this is a process that companies, organizations adopt to do what? To solve human-centered problems. But the twist here is, design thinking is not just solving a problem, but it's also making you as an innovator become innovative. Design thinking is not just a process, it is also a mindset. It is an ideology, it is a way of life, it is a way of thinking. In tackling a problem, you tackle it with the users in mind. So design thinking is basically a process, but also a mindset, which can be adopted by anyone, whether you're a carpenter, regardless of your area of discipline. Design thinking is a human-centered approach to problem solving, which serves dual purpose. So you're solving a problem, but at the same time, that process is supposed to make you innovative. So there's a creative aspect to it, and then there's also a problem-solving aspect to it. So I said that the design thinking process is not just a process for organizations or corporate bodies. It is also a mindset that can be adopted by individuals in their everyday activities. Now, the picture you see here today is a picture of the shelf. Now, fun fact is that this shelf is the shelf in my house. I'm going to be talking you guys through how I was able to adopt the design thinking process in building a shelf for myself. First off, we start with user research. I want to use a shelf. I ask myself, what do I know about shelves? What do I see around me? What are people saying about shelves? Basically, I do know that shelves are used to store items, books, clothes, electronics, whatever you want to store at home. But I have a pain point, I have a problem with shelves. One problem I know I have with shelves is that it conceals debts. Another problem I know I have with shelves is that most of the times people keep these shelves on the ground. Now, this is also a way of concealing debts. So, in adopting the design thinking process, I had to approach the problem from a human-centered perspective. Now, I'm going to submit two problems. The first problem is, I want to be able to see the debts in my house. The second problem is, I need space. I do not want the shelf to occupy space in my house, but then I need the shelf. So in adopting the design thinking process, I said to myself, how do I mitigate this problem? How do I solve this problem from a user perspective? So I had to do a little bit of research. I went online, I looked around, I saw, designs. So in modeling into what I know I'm going to use, I had to go on paper, and then I sketched what I think would be nice for me. First off, I said, why don't I suspend this shelf to a wall? That way, the shelf is not on the floor. I have more space, and I'm going to see the debts in my house. I can always clean them. That was how I was able to adopt the design thinking process in building a shelf for myself. So we've learned that the design thinking process can be adopted by individuals in their day-to-day activities. Now, what we're going to learn is how this process is being adopted by tech companies, techies like myself, in building digital products that are scalable and are also usable by users. But in learning this, let us look at the several characteristics of the design thinking process. First, we've learned that it's human-centered, so it's targeted towards users. The digital products we see today are targeted towards humans. Humans in this sense are users. Secondly, it is cooperative. It is co-creative in the sense that it is a process that can be carried out in a group or by a group. It's not just a process that can be used by individuals. Thirdly, it is holistic. The design thinking process adopts a holistic approach in problem solving from the user research stage to the ideation, which we are going to be coming to. So we're going to be looking at it adopts an holistic approach towards problem solving for users. Fourth, it is empathetic. In building a product that people will use and would love to use, we have to empathize with our users. We have to know who our users are, what are their pain points, what are their gain, what do they say, what do they like. So in building a product, a digital product, we have to the design thinking process empathizes with users. The next is that it is iterative. It is iterative in the sense that the process is not a linear process. It is cyclic. We'll always keep refining these products to make sure that it meets the user's needs. It is daring. So we've said that this process, companies adopt this process for to make them innovative. So in building a scalable product, a usable product that is human-centered, you have to dare to build something that is solving a particular problem from a creative perspective. You dare to solve a problem. Fourth, it is making you, and at the end of the day, it is making you innovative. The popular quote from the late Henry Ford reads, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Now, this is a question that was posed by Henry Ford to users of horses, probably in the medieval times. Now, I mean, when you asked the user what they wanted in terms of transportation, they obviously wanted to move faster. But then, through invention, came about a car. Looking back at it, or analyzing the situation, a car is obviously faster than a horse. But what did the user say? They wanted faster horses. Now, same can be said for the Sony Walkman. If we cast our mind back in time, in the 90s, I used this product, the Sony Walkman. The Sony Walkman is a music player that uses a battery and uses compact discs to play music. I mean, I enjoyed this product. I used it a lot. A lot of you all can relate to it. Back in high school, we used to use this around our purse. We would have it around our waist, in a purse, and then with our CDs too. And we enjoyed this product. But what then happens? Times changed. And then we discovered that the Sony Walkman was no longer scalable. There were a lot of flaws with the Sony Walkman. Over time came the iPods, the iPhones. Now, we begs the question, should we be improving the current products as product developers, or should we be making the right products? Now, we're about to find out as we proceed. Which also begs the question, does it mean that true innovation are bettered without the help of the users? Because from these two scenarios we've seen, the car came to replace the horse. The iPhones, the iPod came to replace the Sony Walkman. But the users, what were the users saying? The users of horses were saying they want faster horses. If you had asked the users of the Walkman, they would say that they want to play more music. They want the battery of the Walkman to last longer. Which obviously begs the question, should we be making the current products, improving it, or should we be making the right product? Now we're going to be looking at how the design thinking process is centered around preferring a value proposition for users. Now the Venn diagram you're seeing here is about to tell us why the design thinking process should be adopted. First, we've said that it is desirable. It is human-centered. The users should be able to use the products that are built that are built off the design thinking process. Now, these products are meant to be viable. They are meant to be scalable from a business perspective. And then from a technological perspective, that product is meant to can be achieved through technology. Now, at the center of these three value, is where the design thinking process lies. That is the intersection where the design thinking lies, which is the value-driven service. Now we're going to be looking at the 5 stages of the design thinking process. Now some of us in the industry would say is a 6-stage process. If we are going to, with the addition of implementation, but I'm going to stick to the 5 stages. The overview of this stage is the first stage will be to empathize. The second stage will be to define. The third stage is the ideation stage. The fourth, prototyping, and then you test. And obviously, if we're going to add the 6th stage, it's going to be implementation. Now, during the course of this talk, we are going to be running through these individual stages and dissecting them. So let's get right into it. Now, during the course of the design thinking process, there are times that you are going to be empathizing, basically exploring what user needs. So at this stage, you are exploring, trying to gather data, trying to gather information, insight into what the users want, what are their pain points, what are their challenges, and trying to prefer a solution to them. So at this stage, you are basically exploring. Now the next stage will be obviously to define, to create an actionable problem statement. What the problem is, based off what you've gathered, the information you've gathered from your users. You make an actionable problem statement. Now this actionable problem statement would now lead you on into preferring solutions. What are the possible solutions to this problem? Now this is the stage of ideation, and the ideation stage is the flaring stage, where you're basically brainstorming. And obviously, once we are done with the ideation stage, you progress to the prototyping stage, where you come up with a blueprint of what the actual product is going to look like, and then testing. So during the course of this process, there are times where you are going to be exploring and focusing and exploring. It's more like the snake-like feeding mechanism, where you expand, you contract, you expand, you contract. So during the course of this process, that is what the design thinking process would look like. Now, empathy. What is empathy? I'm going to be explaining empathy by citing 2 examples. So, one day I was, coming to the office, and along the way, a car splashed water on me because it was a very cloudy weather. It was rainy on that day, so I was walking down, and a car splashed water on me. On my way to the office. And then I'm getting to the office, a colleague of mine saw me and said, "Oh, Henry, what happened to you?" And then I said, "A car splashed water on me." And this colleague responded, "Wow, that must have felt so bad. Sorry." A second colleague saw me and said, "Henry, what happened to you?" I said, "What?" "A car splashed water on me on my way to the office." And then this colleague said, "Oh, that must have been so bad. So what did you do? Were you able to go to the nearby cleanup center to clean yourself up, or did you buy water on the road to clean yourself up? What did you do, or what did you do about the situation?" And then I said, I was hoping I was going to go to the office and then clean up because I was already running late. "Oh, okay, that's great. So you're going to do that. Okay, so sorry, maybe next time you should walk a certain area. You shouldn't, So basically, when you look at these two colleagues, what was different from what the first colleague said to me and what the second colleague said to me? Here is what some of my colleagues said about it. I'll ask you, right? Between these two persons, would you prefer, would you like? The second person, why? You empathize. You empathize.
Even suggested.
Thank you. So this process is not just about what insights into the users. It's about problem solving. So the second person was able to step into my shoes and say that, you know what, I feel what you are feeling, and I'm providing a solution to you. You know. Now that we've learned about the difference between empathy and sympathy, now let us dissect what this stage of the design thinking process is all about. Here, you should gain an empathetic understanding of the problem you are trying to solve, typically what? Through user research. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in the place of another and understand someone else's feelings by identifying with them. Now, we've learned that for you to build a usable product, we have to first gain insight into what the user needs, their challenges, what they hear, what they say, what they are doing. Now, there are different types of empathy. So there are three types of empathy: cognitive, emotional, and compassionate. Cognitive in the sense that the design thinking process demands your cognitive reasoning. In the empathy stage, of course, you have to be emotional, my colleague that spoke to me, the second colleague that spoke to me, was emotional about his response, and also compassionate about it. So from a cognitive perspective, my colleague was able to provide a solution to my problem, and it was also compassionate.
It's time.
Now that you've learned about your user needs or your partner needs, what he or she wants, what are the challenges, what they feel about a wallet. Now, this is the stage where you draw up an actionable problem statement. Now, the problem statement guides you on what to do down the line. It keeps you focused on what the problem is. During this process, you can always go back to the problem statement to refresh your memory, to remind you of what the problem is. Now, in the definition stage, state your user needs and problem. This phase is about making sense of the widespread information you have learned from your users to develop an actionable problem statement or a point of view. Create personas to keep your efforts human-focused. Remember, you are designing for your partner. So create a persona about your partner to guide you on who they are, basically. Now let us analyze what needs are, basically. What are needs? Needs are human, physical, and emotional necessities. Needs capture the aim and motivation of your users for whom you are designing for. Needs are verbs in this context, not nouns. I'm going to be dissecting this. Now, needs could be a noun. I want a car. Car in that sentence is what I need. But in the design thinking process, think of needs as verbs. Remember, Henry Ford asked, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Now, what they want was a horse, but a faster one. In the design thinking process, think of the need of the users in those times as what? The ability to move faster. Now let us look at insights. Asking the why, of course, responds to what? To your user needs. You are digging deep to learn about your user needs, your partner, what they want. So insight is basically what? Asking the why. Usually when you ask people, why you do this, why do you do that, why do you do that, they become tired or probably overwhelmed. So but in gaining insights, you have to adopt the ability of asking the why. Apply your expertise and then make deductions. Now this would, in general, give you a direction to go. Now let us look at the components of a problem statement. A problem statement is supposed to have three things basically: the description of the user, the need, and the insights. Now we're going to be looking at an example of what an ideal problem statement should look like. So the example here states, the user description states, a fintech company that builds financial products. The needs, what are the needs of this fintech company? Or what is the need of this fintech company? To build a product that helps their user accept payments on their respective personal websites. And what are the insights, or what is the insights that was gathered? This fintech company currently have a solution for making payments, but competitors are on the verge of launching a product that enables users make and accept payment. Now, all of these three components mashed up together makes up an ideal problem statement. So you can go ahead and create an actionable problem statement for the rest of the process. Now, ideate. Now, in ideation, this is the part where you have basically flaring and preferring brainstorming, preferring a solution, a possible solution to the wallet. Now, your partner needs a better wallet. Now, you as an innovator, a designer, a product person, is meant to go down to the drawing board and come up with a proposed solution. Now, this is the stage where we flare as designers. We're flaring, we're exploring. Now, we're going to be looking at the several rules that governs the ideation stage of the design thinking process. So there are 4 golden rules of ideation, and we're going to be looking at these rules step by step. Rule 1, there are no bad ideas. In the ideation stage, the key is to pour out as many ideas as possible. Make sure not to be boxed in trying to select the best idea. This is not the stage for selection. This is the stage for flaring, for basically exploring all options, which leads us to the rule 2. Capture everything. Make sure you capture everything during the ideation stage. No matter how insignificant your ideas might be, pour it down on paper, sketch it out, write it down on paper. All ideas matter at this stage. Go for hybrid brainstorming. Make sure if you have a partner, a colleague, a fellow designer to brainstorm with. Brainstorming can be better enjoyed, can be better experienced in doing it in conjunction with someone else. And lastly, quantity over quality. So now that you've been able to generate as many idea solutions as possible, bearing the POV in mind, now this is the time where you have to select the best possible solution among the many that you've created through prototyping. What is prototyping? Prototyping is about bringing conceptual or theoretical ideas to life and exploring their real-world impact before finally executing them. And this is according to the Interaction Design Foundation, IDF. IDF is an international institute that offers very interesting design courses for designers like me and some of you out there. Now we're going to be looking at why you should prototype. First, And the essential aim of prototyping is basically to communicate, to initiate a conversation with your user, to fail quickly and cheaply, and to test possibilities. Now, these are the 4 main reasons why prototyping is essential. Because at the end of the day, when you propose a solution to a problem, you are meant to what? To put it in the hands of the users, to test and see and observe, to get feedback from your users, which leads us to the final stage of the design thinking process. Test. Testing is an opportunity to learn about your product and your user. Now we're going to be learning why we should test. We've said previously that in prototyping, prototype helps to what? To test possibility. So in testing this possibility, you're going to learn more about the user. Get feedbacks from your user, fetch these feedbacks. Now, first off, this feedback will help you refine the prototype and the solution, which in turn would end up in becoming a better product at the end of the day. But more importantly, the testing session also affords you the opportunity to go back to the drawing board or to go back to your POV, the point of view, and refine this point of view. There are times that as a designer or as a product person, during testing, you'll find out that you've not been able to capture the user needs enough, or there are things that you've left out. The testing stage offers you that opportunity to learn and to check if this solution that you've provided for this as a solution to this problem is actually valid and also usable and addresses the problem at hand. Now, how do you test? Show, don't tell. In the testing phase, your job as a product person is to observe the way the users will use your product. Do not direct them on how to use the application or the product. Observe them in their natural environment most times and watch how they use these products or your proposed solution. Create what? Experiences. Create your prototypes and test them in a way that feels like an experience that users is reacting to rather than an explanation that your user is evaluating. Ask users to what? To compare. Bringing in multiple prototypes to the field to test gives users a basis of what? Of comparison. So you've brought out one of the best solutions that you've been able to create during your ideation process. But then, on the second thought, you could also bring 2 more options for your users to compare. The best solution that best tackles the problem at hand. This way, you've been able to create an experience for your users. Now, the big question will be, again, should we be making the product right or making the right product? Remember, Henry Ford said, if I had asked people what they would want, they would say they want faster horses. But then the car came to be. I also cited an example and said, the Walkman, if I had asked people, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would probably say that they want to play more music. They would probably say that they want the battery life of the Walkman to last longer. But then the iPod, the iPhone came to be. Now ask yourself, as a designer, as a product person, as a developer, should you be making the product right or making the right product? At this point, once you're done with all of this, share your solution and capture feedback. Share your solution and capture feedback. In the end, done is never done. You keep what? You keep iterating. There is no perfect product. You keep iterating. Thank you for your time. I hope I've been able to address the design thinking process the best way I can. For more videos like this, hit the subscribe button again, turn off your notification. In the meantime, stay happy, keep designing, and keep innovating.
Audio Jungle.